Hey guys, back in the spin room today. This is definitely the anointed spot at the gym. I walk in, there's one lady in here riding, got some great worship music on, so she's already got the background music for today. Gonna be talking a little quieter while she's training. And we're just gonna do some more lower body stretches, kind of focused on helping that lower back pain that so many people deal with. So first one, super simple. We did our seated forward fold the other day. If you weren't here, it's where your feet are together and we're stretching straight out like high school gym class. All we're gonna do today, spread your legs apart, ankles and feet to the sides. It's called a seated straddle. Okay. If you have low mobility, guys, if your inner thighs are tight, this is tough. If you went from this the other day to just like, maybe here, and you can't really lean forward much, that's fine. If you feel the stretch, when you feel the stretch in the inner thighs, the hips, lower back, we're gonna go to a little bit uncomfortable, never painful. All right, so if you have better mobility, it's like ladies, you may be doing like all the Jean-Claude Van Damme split from the 90s, right? Jean-Claude Van Damme, whatever his name was. All right, you may have great mobility, that's fine. You may be able to move the feet way out and lay on the ground with your chest like my buddy Mitchell. Great, do some maintenance on your mobility. For the rest of us, what I like to do is put my feet out wide. I'll put my hands behind my butt and I'll just push my hips straight forward. I'll push my hips up, keeping my ankles planted into the ground. And as I bring my hips up, I really start to get the stretch, inner thighs, hamstrings on the bottom, a little bit of the hips here. And once you get to this position, guys, if your knees are a little off the ground, that's okay. If you can, try to go all the way flat. I'm starting the timer now. We're gonna do 3 minutes here, okay? The way you engage this stretch too is, just like the one with our feet together, we're gonna just lean our hands out, let your body do its job, let gravity do its job. While you're here, you may find you can't do a 5 to 6 second breathing count here. A little bit of compression in the abdomen, that's fine. So if you want to just do maybe 3 or 4 seconds in, 3 or 4 seconds out, as long as you're doing the same time in and out, that's where the science really lies with this. We can mix it up. There's different stuff for relaxing and whatnot and switching off. But as far as static stretching, guy that I've followed his videos for years, really good science-based approach, helped me a lot. I noticed he had a very consistent pattern of breathing through the nose, same amount of time in and out. So I'm gonna do 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. Got about 2 minutes left here. Areas where I feel my body wanting to tighten up, where I feel it tight, instead of letting the default setting happen where you tend to want to fight and push against the pain and the tension. The word is surrender. I'm going to just think about those areas where it's tough and it hurts, and I'm going to just think about surrendering to whatever's happening there. It hurts, it's tight, my body's reacting a little bit, having a little freak out, my legs are having a little freak out. We're gonna breathe through it. It's okay to be uncomfortable. You're gonna get really good at being uncomfortable. This is gonna lead to benefits in other areas of your life and your training, responding less emotionally and reactively when in stressful situations. Anything of God is good, is high gain. All of my personal training, all of everything I've learned about the body, the best stuff is high gain. The best stuff checks a lot of boxes at once, because when it's from God, it's benefiting many different areas at the same time. There's no drawbacks. Blessing of the Lord makes a man rich and adds no sorrow with it. That's what Proverbs tells us. If it's from God, it's going to be all good, no bad. The only bad comes from when I overtrain and run myself down and hurt myself. But exercise itself is virtually limitless. It's all party, no hangover in God's kingdom. All right, guys, so hang in there. I'm gonna try to shut up a little bit. Do another 35 seconds here. Breathe with me if you want to. Last few breathing cycles here. Try to surrender a little bit deeper. Just a little, just surrender a little more. Awesome, you guys. Okay, coming out of poses slower than I just did. You should have been feeling that one in the inner thighs, probably the hips, the hamstrings, the bottom of the legs. We're gonna be doing just basic coaching too in these videos. Last video we talked about the quads or the top of the legs. So if you don't know what any of these terms mean and you find yourself getting lost in the terminology, you've come to the right place, guys. This is a beginner's class that will also benefit people of all levels. It's definitely gonna be catered though to people who are starting their fitness journey and in the earlier stages. Okay, so I'm gonna talk to you real quickly while I put on some music because our lady with the worship music left. And let me put on some music here. So the real thing I wanted to do today is to continue to stretch inner thighs, the hips on the outside, the quads on the top, the hamstrings on the bottom. Continue to stretch the legs because there's just so many people who have lower back pain and tightness, and often it's not from the lower back. It's usually from mostly the lower body. Could also be combined with, like we talked about last time, tightness in the upper back, rounding of posture, the middle back's tight. So especially when the lower body and the middle and upper back are out of position and tight, that lower back is just getting torqued on in the wrong way from both ends. It's right in the middle. It's the poor middleman right here. It's the little kid running back and forth, bringing messages to mom and dad when they're fighting with each other. You know, he's just stuck right in the middle of awfulness. The pelvis is tilted, the legs are pulling, the upper body's pulling. So we start feeling this pain in the lower back, and many people start to stretch out their lower body, start to stretch out the upper back some, and voila, a lot of this lower back pain starts to get relieved. Last week we talked about the anterior pelvic tilt, getting the lower abdomen strengthened. So we'll do a little bit more of that on the next video. I'm going to show you some things to strengthen the hip flexors instead of just stretching them all the time. And so, I can't remember the name of that album. Anyway, guys, we're going to do sorry. Interesting. Oh, wow, I do have this thing paired to my phone now. Okay, so anyway, I've wasted enough time here. Let's have some quiet meditation time here. All right, so we've done cross shins pose before. Remember, this one's great. Just sit Indian style. We're gonna stretch out over. Today, though, I wanna show you one more pose here. It's gonna be challenging. This is a pose, this is called a couch stretch, all right? I only assume that's because people started doing this pose by kneeling down in front of their couch. But as you can see, I'm gonna kneel down here. There's a little space between my knee and the wall. If you've got phenomenal mobility, you may be able to put your knee all the way against the wall. But you see, for me, if I do this, I'm not able to really stand all the way up. This is gonna stretch that crucial region that we talked about in the last video. We're wanting to stretch where the upper and lower body connects through this core. A lot of times if this is just really tight over time, getting that stuff to stretch out is challenging. So you don't have to have your foot, you don't have to have your knee all the way against the wall. If you want to get a healthy medium, mine's out probably 6 inches from the wall, but this puts me in a position, this puts me in a good position where I can still stand up, right? You can bring this foot out. Actually, you're probably gonna need this unless you have a medicine ball or something. And all we're gonna do is, I'm pulling the belly button toward the spine a little bit, engaging the glutes a little bit to have that good posture, right? And I'm gonna be leaning back, trying to push my hips back toward the wall. The top of my foot, guys, is on the wall. If in case you're curious, not my toes, they're not bunched up pushing. That's actually the top of my foot, right? And this is the stretch for couch stretch, okay? So you should be able to breathe a little easier here. If you want to get a deeper stretch, move your knee back closer to the wall. So remember, this is like the one that we talked about when we were standing up. A lot of people are just trying to force the ankle toward the butt on that side, toward the glute. Okay, so what you're instead doing is focusing on stretching this area all through here. I really feel this one in the top of the quad there. So I'm trying to lean back. I don't want to arch my lower back. I want to keep my lower abs in by thinking about a little engagement, pulling the belly button toward the spine, standing up tall, and then as I lean my whole body back, this is my body, this is the wall. As I lean the whole thing back toward the wall, right? I'm not just putting the chest back and arching the lower back. That's not good. And I'm also not trying to jam my glute, my butt cheek right here, toward my foot at the expense of lowering my body forward, right? What I want to do is belly button toward the spine. Just think about slight glute engagement. I'm not squeezing them at all. Really, it's mostly just thinking about pulling that belly button in toward the spine, which makes me naturally activate the glutes just a little for stability. And when I do that, this is when I feel the stretch right here, right? This is going to be the real shortcut for you here, guys, is once you get that engagement, now I can breathe through the discomfort in my hips and my shoulders, right? Hips, shoulders, wall. I'm trying to move them back at the same time, all together. And as I do that, all down the quad, top of the quad, up into the hip, right? These are the muscles that get super over tight from being weak. Number one, even I have some weakness. I need to start doing some strength work on my actual hip flexors. I've been studying. I'm gonna show you the next video. All right, switch legs with me. Okay, right knee down on the ground. Somewhere, I got a little space between me and the wall. If you've got great mobility, awesome. Put it all the way up against the wall. Mitchell Wiedebrand, I need to have him do a video because this guy can do this stretch. His mobility is wild, so good. So he would be doing this and holding it to maintain his mobility, to not lose what he has. We're trying to take some ground here. But like I said, I've been doing some studying. We're gonna have some exercises to strengthen the hip flexors because lack of strength keeps them in a shortened, tightened position chronically, over time, all the time. Also, a lot of sitting. It's the modern condition. You see people with standing desks, you see people with the Bosu ball chairs. All of that is phenomenal. Worth its weight in gold, guys, because anything we can do, hey, this is fun. Anything we can do to get see my side on me, this side's tighter, and you'll notice because it's harder to keep a straight line. This hip, it wants to rotate out of position very easily. It's definitely tighter on this side for me. This leg's a little shorter from a high school injury. But still, belly button to the spine, trying to get in a good alignment first, get positional correct first. Now slowly, as we breathe together, feeling the stretch all through here. We're going to be doing some videos on how to strengthen your hip flexors and how to stretch them. Last time we talked about stretching the glutes or strengthening the glutes and the lower abs to help offset the tightness in the hip flexors. Weird. Okay. All right, guys. Next stretch we're going to do from here. This is a very easy one. to start with. This is gonna be a little bit of a beginner's flow here.